The story started in California, inside Corcoran State Prison, a place that only held the most violent and dangerous inmates. There was no fresh air, no sunlight, and no real freedom. A man named Jacob was about to be released after many years. Every week he wrote letters to his son Joshua, but he never mailed them. He had decided long ago that neither his son nor his wife should reach out to him. He believed he didn't deserve to be part of their lives anymore. Jacob had once been a gang leader with a long history of violence. Even in prison, his gang held power. That morning, a fight broke out inside, but the gang handled it quietly to clear the path for his release. He was getting out on parole, rewarded for good behavior. His body was covered in tattoos, each one a piece of his story. But 10 years earlier, life had looked completely different. Back then, his name was Jacob. He had a small family, a wife with dreams of becoming a designer, and a young son. One night, while driving back from dinner with friends, they had a car crash. The friend sitting in the back died instantly. Jacob's wife was badly hurt. Jacob had a little wine at dinner, and because of that, he took the blame. He was charged with drunk driving. On his lawyer's advice, he pleaded guilty. That move saved him from a longer sentence, but it sent him straight into prison for 16 months. And that's where everything changed. It was his first time behind bars, and fear hit him like a wall. He had no idea what to expect. On his first night, he saw another new inmate get assaulted. That moment made him realize how brutal this place really was. Survival wouldn't come easy. The next day in the showers, Jacob accidentally bumped into a bulky man with a Captain America tattoo. The guy attacked him. Jacob reacted in fear and rage, fought back, and was sent into solitary confinement. The day after that, a gang member named Shotgun spoke to him and introduced him to Bottles, the gang's leader. They had seen his fight and liked his spirit. Bottles warned him that staying alive meant sticking with his own kind, white inmates only. The tattoos told the rest. Swastikas and white pride slogans made it clear this was the Aryan Brotherhood. The gang was known nationwide for being violent and openly racist. They had a tight rule: no outsiders allowed. Only white inmates could join, and they had to prove their loyalty. Jacob didn't want to be part of it, but prison didn't offer choices. A man named Jerry began guiding him through it. One day, the gang ordered him to kill another inmate who had been secretly helping the police. Jacob hesitated, but in that world, saying no could get him killed. So he went through with it. That one act sealed his place in the gang. Because of his past as a stockbroker, the gang started calling him Money. His role inside began to grow. Later, a bigger plan was set up. The top Aryan Brotherhood leader, known as the Beast, made a deal with Manuel, another prison gang boss. Together, they planned an attack against a rival gang called the Black Gorilla Family. Each gang member prepared weapons, shivs made from scrap. When the day came, everything turned into a battlefield. Guards fired shots to stop the riot. In the middle of the chaos, Money saved Manuel's life, but also ended up stabbing and killing a black inmate. Even though Manuel owed him his life, the prison cameras had recorded everything. During the next court hearing, that footage became evidence. The judge added 9 more years to Money's sentence and ordered him to be moved to a higher security prison. As he left the courtroom, he told his wife to let go of the man he used to be. Jacob was gone. Only Money was left. He was then transferred to one of the toughest prisons in the country, surrounded by the worst criminals and the highest-ranking gang leaders. This new prison was nothing like the last. There were no open yards, no sun, and no dining halls. Every inmate stayed locked inside a single cell, with barely any time out. Even when they were allowed outside, it was just 30 minutes a day, and each person stood alone in a steel cage. Nobody talked to anyone. No faces, no voices, just silence and steel. In that cold, cut-off world, Money met Redwood, the man who ran the Aryan gang inside. Redwood had a tight grip on everyone. He forced the gang to follow strict workouts, believing it kept their minds sharp and bodies ready, even in total isolation. One day, as guards were escorting Money to the yard, a Mexican gang member broke free and rushed at him. Money, still in cuffs, fought back with raw force and left the man nearly unconscious. Guards had to blast him with pepper spray to stop him. Redwood liked what he saw and told him to keep going, to get even stronger. Retaliation would come eventually. Money's grit reached higher ears. The Beast, the top Aryan Brotherhood boss, heard about him and arranged a meeting. When they finally sat down, the Beast laid things out clearly. Inside these walls, the gang was the law. Some guards worked with them, the rest didn't last long. He even shared that Redwood had just killed a guard with a hidden shiv, and no one had said a word. Another name erased quietly. He told Money that the Brotherhood only needed men like him. Tough, fearless, fully loyal. He mentioned a book called Human Animal and said he'd send a copy to his cell. Then he rewarded Money with a transfer to an accept cell, a safer place, meant only for those the gang fully trusted. Money accepted the change. Soon after, word came from Germany. They were ready. That same day, Money got a call. A major arms deal was happening outside, and they wanted him to oversee it. At first he said no. He had served too long behind bars to risk it all again. But the beast didn't give him much choice. If Money refused, his family would pay the price. With no way out, he agreed. Outside the walls, Shotgun and Howie had already botched the setup. Howie had returned from a military tour in Afghanistan and had smuggled in heavy supplies, ration boxes packed with rifles, handguns, and drugs. All of it was supposed to move through Manuel's contacts on the Mexican side. Money met up with Shotgun and Frank once he got out. Shotgun arranged a motel and a party, but that night things went south. Someone tried to kill him. Thanks to his clean habits, no booze, no drugs, he was alert enough to dodge the shot. A girl behind him wasn't so lucky. The bullet hit her instead. Money realized the streets weren't any safer than the prison. Someone wanted him gone, and fast. He told Shotgun to stay away until the snitch was found. He kept his distance from known gang members and only stayed close to Frank, who was new and had no past ties or tattoos. The next morning, Money had to meet his parole officer, Officer Kutcher. Kutcher was the kind of guy who didn't flinch. In a past mission, he had saved a teenage girl from a predator after taking 2 bullets to his vest. He stayed calm the entire time and kept moving. By then, Kutcher already knew through his sources that Money was out for gang business. He immediately placed him under watch. Later, Money met Manuel again. Manuel still remembered how Money had saved him back inside. Because of that, he said he trusted only him to handle the deal. Money also went to see his wife Kate. He gave her everything he had saved over the years and put it under their son Joshua's name. He told her he still cared, but the life he had chosen made it impossible to be with them. After that, he gathered the crew and laid out the full plan for the arms deal. But something about Shotgun felt off. Money started keeping an eye on him. Then came the truth. Shotgun was meeting Officer Kutcher in a parking lot. Money saw it himself. Shotgun had been giving away everything as a police informant. The next day, Kate showed up with Joshua. She hadn't told Money beforehand. Seeing his son again shook him. The boy had been 4 when he last saw him. Now he stood taller, older, unfamiliar. It hit hard. Joshua said he had noticed the letters had stopped coming. Money couldn't hold back. He broke down, told him to go, and shut the door. Then he sat alone and cried. Years of guilt came pouring out. By then, Money already knew the police had eyes on his motel. They were watching the place closely, so he slipped out quietly through the window and disappeared into the night. He made his way to Shotgun's house, fully prepared for what had to be done. As soon as the door opened, he attacked with 2 sharp knives and didn't stop until Shotgun collapsed. He told him he knew the truth, that he had been working with the police. Before dying, Shotgun admitted that he and a man called Bottles had set up that ambush the night of the party. Money cleaned himself up afterward. He changed his clothes and left Shotgun's phone in his hand to make it seem like he was still alive. When Detective Sanchez arrived and found the body, he was shocked. He quickly told his team to go after Money using a disguise trick, but it was too late. Money had already vanished. Later, Money went into a store and quietly bought 3 things: an asthma inhaler, a small explosive, and a shaving blade. Soon after, he received the location of a weapons deal from Manuel. He forwarded that same location using Shotgun's phone, knowing the police would track it. Then he left with Frank, carrying a gas canister in the truck. As they got close, Money asked Frank about the other stash the gang had hidden for their own profit. Once he got the information, he told Frank to jump off and disappear. He didn't want the kid caught in the crossfire. Money drove straight into the arms deal meeting and shook hands with Manuel. Crates full of cash were brought out. Within seconds, police surrounded them from all sides. As panic spread, guns went off. Some gang members opened fire. Police shot back. Bodies fell. Money and Manuel stood down and surrendered without a fight. From far off, Frank saw the whole thing unfold. After the arrest, senior officers gave Money an option: testify against the gang and walk free one day, or stay behind bars forever, with no chance of parole. That meant over 100 years in prison. Money didn't even flinch. He turned down the deal. He had spent years behind bars and had picked up more than just street smarts. He had learned to turn anything into a weapon. The inhaler and blade he bought earlier were smuggled back into prison. He modified them into a key and a sharp cutting tool. A few days later, a crooked officer named Roberts came to take him to meet the Beast. When the Beast saw him, his anger was boiling. He had figured out that Money was the one who leaked the deal. But instead of ordering a hit inside prison, he told Money that his wife and son had already been marked for death. That way Money would stay alive, just to live in guilt. That threat broke something inside him. As Roberts was escorting him out, Money moved fast. He unlocked his cuffs with the homemade key and pressed the sharp plate to Roberts' throat. He forced him to record a confession and locked him inside a cage. Roberts didn't fight back. He knew exactly what kind of man Money had become. Money grabbed the keys, opened the Beast's cell, and went in. The Beast attacked first, but Money was faster. He pushed the sharp blade into his neck and didn't stop until the man dropped. The Beast fell from the upper floor, blood spilling everywhere. Breathing heavy, stained in red, Money walked straight to the warden. He told him to write in the report that the beast attacked first, and everything after was self-defense. Then he reminded the warden that the gang money and protection would continue as before. Nothing had changed, except the name in charge. The warden nodded. Just like he had once worked for the beast, he now answered to money. By 2030, word spread across the prison system. The beast had been killed by Money himself. Detective Sanchez couldn't believe it. Slowly, the pieces started making sense. Maybe Money had surrendered on purpose, just to get close enough to finish what he had started. Then Sanchez received a message from an unknown number. It gave the exact location of Shotgun's secret stash. When he went there, the place matched perfectly. The message had come from Money. It was his final gift. By then, Sanchez knew the full truth. Every move had been planned. Every step had led to this. Money was no longer just a gang member. He had become the new kingpin inside prison. In the final scene, Money sat alone in his cell, reading The Human Animal. A letter came in. It was from his son. Joshua had forgiven him. He and Kate had moved to a peaceful village, far away from everything. They were living quietly now, just as Money had always wanted. Money looked once more at a photo pinned to the wall, him and his son from a different time. Then he stepped outside into the yard, the air heavy with silence. Around him were sirens, fences, and steel, but for once he didn't feel trapped.